Yes, welcome everybody. Good afternoon in Taiwan, and I believe still morning in Europe, in Luxembourg. And today we are very happy to have Dr. Jordan Vannitsen to tell us something about the ecosystem, space ecosystem in Luxembourg. And I think for one thing that I think many people of us know that Jordan he received his doctoral degree from NCKU, so it's a homemade PhD. And he started a company, a small company in Thailand, and we were very happy. I mean, it was almost the first space company in Taiwan. And then a couple of years ago, he left. So that from one company we have become no company in Taiwan. And he joined Luxembourg. There must be lost company, but he's doing very well. Am I right? You just won some very big contracts recently. And Luxembourg is very important. As we know that for one thing, the government is very much heavily involved in investing in space technology. And for a few years ago, and I mean, it was Luxembourg was the leader in we call it asteroidal mining. And that these days they have switched their emphasis from asteroidal mining to the moon, the lunar in-situ resource mining. But that's only one thing that I know about. There are many other things. So the company, I mean, the government of Luxembourg is extremely proactive. One should say almost aggressive. So they're building up the ecosystem. So this is something that we really want to learn and to know. So Jordan, why don't you start? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Professor Ip, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Just before to dive into the Luxembourg space ecosystem, I would like to start by introducing myself a little bit more, to give the context with Taiwan, and also to give a short introduction about Odysseus, and then we will dive more in the Luxembourg space ecosystem. And of course, I'm very happy to take questions. If I'm right, we have 1 hour question included. Is it?
Right.
Okay, cool. So in a few minutes, myself, the company, I actually arrived in Taiwan for the first time in 2007, and I was working in NCKU Space Lab with Professor Mio, Professor Zhuang. I think many people know these two professors in Taiwan. And this was really my first experience in Taiwan. And I like it so much that I have to come back. And I came back a few years later for a double master's degree at NCKU in the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics. And I was working on the PACE CubeSat. And after that, I joined ESA, so European Space Agency, where I was working on the European CubeSats for the Vega maiden flight. So what you can see here is when we were in Kourou, installing the CubeSat on the Vega rocket. And then I came back to Taiwan, to NCKU, to start a PhD. And I got the opportunity during this PhD to actually participate in my 10th satellite mission, which was successfully launched and operated. You can see on the picture NCKU team and QB50 Phoenix satellite. And then, together with Julien Henquin and Marco Aignan, we started Odysseus Space in Taiwan in 2016. So we could see that Taiwan had a lot of space programs, but the space industry was not there yet, but we could still see a lot of opportunities. So we decided to start the company in Taiwan. in Thailand. Actually, on the picture, you can see the team we were working with in Taiwan. It was on a R&D collaboration on a pulse plasma thruster, which was also co-financed by MOEA SBIR. So the thing is, even by being in Taiwan, we had most of our customers and partners in Europe. So we wanted to also explore the possibility to expand in Europe. And we got that opportunity because in 2018, we joined a competition called the Space Resource Challenge that we won. And the price of this competition was a contract, an ESA contract, to develop one of our products with the condition that we open in Luxembourg. And this is usually how it works if you want to get Luxembourg support. And I will go in more details later about that. So we opened in Luxembourg in 2019. We kick off the first contract for Cyclops, or laser communication solution. We are still in Taiwan. I saw Julian is in the call, maybe Eric as well. So we still have an office in Taiwan. But in Taiwan, right now, we are focusing more on services and in Luxembourg on R&D. Then we got another contract here in Luxembourg for Astralis, which is our autonomous navigation solution. And more recently, a second contract for Cyclops to develop a terminal, a space terminal, laser terminal, ready for flight, and also an optical ground station. Before to talk about Luxembourg, just to summarize a bit what we are doing, we are actually having a three-phase roadmap, which we call Solve, Connect, and Explore, in which Solve, actually we have been with our engineering service serving our customers in 2016. It was a way for us to early generate revenue and demonstrate and build our expertise. And then now we are actually focusing on Cyclops, which is an end-to-end laser communication solution. So it means this solution will provide high data rate, secured, and license-free communication. We are going to demonstrate the optical ground station in 2023 and to have the in-orbit demonstration in 2024. We will have this solution ready for commercialization in 2024. And then we're also working on Astralis, which is an autonomous deep space navigation solution. So with this solution, you can actually investigate new kind of mission profile and also optimize your space mission, while at the same time reducing your cost with mission operation. So just to conclude on Odysseus, this is part of the team. So we are still growing. Now we are in, so we are still in Taiwan. We are in Luxembourg. We have a very international team. We keep opening new positions. So of course, I invite any of you, if you are looking for a position, to apply. So now let's dive into Luxembourg. Just very briefly, what is Luxembourg as a country? So it's also called officially the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. It's the only remaining sovereign Grand Duchy in the world. And it's a rather small country. both in terms of population, because here we are a bit more than 600,000 people, with more than half of the population who is foreigner. So we have 3 official languages, Luxembourg, French, and German, but English and Portuguese are widely spoken, which means that if, for example, you want to come from Taiwan and you don't speak any of the official language, you will not have a big problem to actually start a company and evolve in the ecosystem. I can tell you that actually most of the new space company I know here, the founders or the manager, they do not speak any of this language. So English it's quite easy to get around with English. Also, it's quite small. It's between Belgium, France, and Germany. It's much smaller than Taiwan. So if you think Luxembourg can do big things in space, Taiwan for sure can do even bigger thing. So now a bit more about really what kind of space history Luxembourg has. So in 1985, SES was founded in Luxembourg. So SES is a major satellite communication company, and it's always in the top 2 in the world, depends which year. And then, actually 2 decades later, Luxembourg joined the European Space Agency. But still, Luxembourg did not have its own space agency. So mostly the activity were around SES and other companies providing services to SES, but that was really the core of what Luxembourg had at the time for space. Then in 2016, the Space Resource Initiative was funded. So the Space Resource is a legal framework which says that as a company, if you find resource in space, you can use the resource for peaceful and commercial purpose. And it was also how Luxembourg started to invest more in new space company. And to do that, they had to put an organism to organize this. And that's how a Luxembourg Space Agency was founded. So Luxembourg Space Agency is it's a bit unique actually in terms of role that they have, because their position is really to foster the space business in Luxembourg, and they really focus on the space business. So they are not involved at all in a scientific mission in space. Luxembourg is through ESA or through other institutions, but not through LSA. And then more recently, the European Space Resource Innovation Center was created, and it's actually a center which will focus on providing a resource for companies who are involved in space resource activities. So there will be also testing activities and funding support for that. But now let me go a bit more in details in each main initiative and institution. So this initiative, Space Resource, it's now led by LSA, and it's under the Ministry of Economy. So the idea is really to foster business in Luxembourg. It's the first country in Europe to have this kind of legal framework for space resource, and it's the second worldwide after the US. So what it brings is confidence. It brings confidence to companies who want to be in Luxembourg and who want to extract resource from space, to be sure that they can actually keep the resource and use this resource for commercial purpose. Not only it brings confidence, but it actually trigger new funding opportunities. And actually, this is through the Space Resource Initiative that ourselves, as Odysseus, we arrived in Luxembourg. So to give you an example of some of the outcome of the space resource, so there have been a board which was created for space resource, a board of specialists in this area, and also several conferences are organized. So, for example, you have the Space Resource Week, which is a very good event if you are involved or want to be involved in space resource. It's a very international. Since the creation of the Space Resource Initiative, many agreements were signed with other countries and organizations. And well, I also think there could be more synergies between Luxembourg and Taiwan in that sense. We do see synergies. I'm going to talk about this later, but I will really encourage Taiwan institution to also get to talk to Luxembourg. And a law for exploration and use of space resource was adopted by Luxembourg. And also a new master's degree was started at the University of Luxembourg. So the University of Luxembourg it's a quite new university because it's a little bit more than 10 years old. So it's a very new university. And of course, Luxembourg know that if you want to develop stronger space capabilities within a country, you also need to train people locally. So this is one of the reasons why this space master was started. Also, a lot of companies sign economic agreement to develop their activities in Luxembourg, and not only private company, but also public laboratory like the LIST, LIST, Luxembourg Institute for Science and Technology, I believe. And there are programs which exist of collaboration between this public and private institute. So what happened is, out of this space resource initiative, Luxembourg went from 16 space company in 2012 to more than 60 right now in 2022. Then Luxembourg Space Agency. So the goal is really to create synergies with businesses and to help to grow the local business, and also to develop the skills and expertise locally. So the skills are developed with also with this space master at the university, but for the business, actually, if as an outsider you want to come to Luxembourg, you want to open your space company in Luxembourg, the first people you want to talk to are people at the Luxembourg Space Agency. I'm going to explain after how exactly the process work if you want to talk to them and if you want to open a company here. But what's interesting is that Luxembourg Space Agency is directly under the supervision of the Ministry of Economy of Luxembourg, which means that the philosophy is really to create more business opportunities and to make things more efficient for commercial entities in Luxembourg. So actually it was quite we found it quite exciting and convenient for us to have LSA to talk to. Also because Luxembourg as a rather small country, a lot of decision could be taken quick and also we can talk to the right people quickly. So that's another advantage of Luxembourg. The thing is, they also help us to not only to help us to settle here, but also to promote our activity internationally. So it means, for example, LSA will organize some booth in a major space events and invite the local company to join the booth. And then more recently, we had ESRIC, the European Space Resource Innovation Center, with, in terms of research, laboratories and testing facilities. And in terms of business, they will promote technology transfer from a space and non-space activity to space resource for space resource innovation, and also public-private partnership and early-stage startup support. Regarding the last point for early-stage startup supports, if you are a company and want to open in Luxembourg and you are involved in a space resource, recently ESRIC opened opportunities to apply, and if you can convince this center with your business plan, you can get a few hundreds of kilo euros of support, as well as an office, and how to say, you can start directly if you arrive in Luxembourg, because you will get your office, you will get the funding, so you don't have to struggle. You can just focus right away on your business. But of course, you need to convince ESRIC that your business is sound and that you can actually make it, and that not only you have a space resource ideas, but there should be some step before. So, of course, Luxembourg has this vision of a space resource business, but still, you need to show that you actually have a step before to make revenues. And also, what's important if you can join there is to have access to the space resource community, because you have experts in Luxembourg, but not only in Luxembourg. This center also have access to experts outside of Luxembourg, and they can also support your business with good advice. Here is just to show some investment of Luxembourg in the last few years, actually from 2020 to 2024. So what you can see here is that total budget is 210 million of euros, but a small part will go to the ESA mandatory program. A bigger part will go to optional programs. So, for example, science exploration. This is what I explained before. It's not LSA who manage that, but they will participate through ESA. Also for safety and security application. Also, Luxembourg provide a lot of funding opportunities in ARTES program, which focus on space communication. That can be understood historically with SES being successful in Luxembourg as a space communication company. And here is this new thing, Luxembourg. So 80 million euros out of 210 euros. So it's more than 1/3 of the budget which goes to this program. And actually, Luxembourg is now LSA. So it's a program which supports space company, local space company. So this money is dedicated to provide funding opportunities for space company to develop their products or services in Luxembourg. So now the way as Odysseus we see synergies between Taiwan and Luxembourg. First, it's in terms of markets. Of course, Taiwan is in Asia, but with Luxembourg in Europe, you can address more easily both markets. It means also you can get more resource from what you can get actually in Europe at European level, but also you can get resource in Taiwan with the government. There is a common factor between Taiwan and Luxembourg is that it's a growing space industry for both countries, and for the R&D, we think there is a complementary high-tech environment, because, for example, in Taiwan you have a very strong semiconductor industry, and in Luxembourg, if you see Luxembourg as part of Europe, actually we have over high-tech industry, of course in space, for example. But then, if we talk about manufacturing, also components procurement, we think Taiwan has strong assets, because by actually doing and procuring components and subsystems in Taiwan, we could actually provide a product with a competitive price and also timeline of delivery. And then from a legal point of view, we see Luxembourg as a good place for space resource. So what I want to say here is that Luxembourg has its own advantages, Taiwan has its own advantages, and by combining both advantages, we believe we can bring to the market reliable yet affordable space product. Now to give you some a bit more insight about how to come to Luxembourg as a new space startup. So of course this is not the only way you can do. This is only one of the way, because, for example, you can also apply to a program which is called Fit for Start. And Fit for Start every year has a dedicated space program. And if you convince the jury, you can get financial and relocation support to come to Luxembourg. But let's talk about the main opportunity, or at least the way a little bit similar to what we have done, and also similar to what many new space companies I know here have done. The first step was to submit a business plan to the Luxembourg Space Agency. Several times a year, the Space Agency will review the business plan. If the first step is successful, of course, they will interact with you and ask you more details. But if they like your ideas and if they think you are able to achieve, what you say, then you will have to submit a more detailed application to ESA, so to European Space Agency, via LSA, which will focus more on the technical aspect of your business. So you will need to convince ESA that technically it makes sense and that you are able to technically deliver what you submitted. And then, if both LSA and ESA are convinced, of course, you will need a bit more iteration with them, but then you could get awarded an ESA contract, but which will be financed by LSA. So in that sense, LSA will follow up, will focus more on your business part, and ESA more on the technical part. So you will have technical officer, which will technical reviewer also, which will review your project, and through time you can unlock a milestone of your contract. But anything you submit to LSA, you need to have a very strong business plan. Even if you show something space resource, it's okay, but it needs to you need to demonstrate that you can generate revenues not in 20 or 30 years, but way earlier than that. And of course, after when you arrive in Luxembourg, it's also easier to join over a European program, whether either by over ESA program or European Commission programs. Now, one thing also to mention is how does LSA, one of the criteria that they look at is do we have this space capability that you offer in Luxembourg or not? So the idea is to have in Luxembourg a comprehensive portfolio of space product here. The only thing Luxembourg is not doing is launcher, but except that, the goal is to cover everything, whether it is communication, ADCS, mechanical thermal, or constellation for some communication services, etc. The idea is to really have a comprehensive ecosystem where local actors could also find what they need locally. So in that sense, it will have a snowball effect where you have more and more companies joining, and more company will need other company, or other company will be the customer, and that will by itself also help to grow the industry, because of course being in Luxembourg means we work worldwide. We don't only work in Luxembourg, but still locally it will we are helping each other. If you want to have more resource, I invite you to have a look at the LSA website. I put the address here, where you can find the Luxembourg Space Catalog, for example, so you can see in details which space company are located here. Also, there is a tech magazine in Luxembourg for which you can have access to the articles online. I put the address, it's called Silicon Luxembourg. And the last issue of the magazine actually focus on Luxembourg space ecosystem. So if you want more information, you can also look into this. Then I would also like to invite you to join some space event here. For example, the Space Resource Week I mentioned earlier. We also have New Space Europe and ICT Spring, which is a big event, but inside we have a space forum. So these three events are held annually. And then we have also a regular networking events, which are called Space Cafe or Space Beers. This will be usually once a month, where everybody is welcome. So it means if you happen to be visiting Luxembourg, you can also join this event and meet the local community. So to conclude what I want to say here, because I want to keep some time for questions, but in the last few years, in the last 5 years, Luxembourg has always been active in space, but in the last 5 years, it has been really growing a lot with the creation of the Space Resource Initiative, the creation of the Luxembourg Space Agency, of the European Center, the European Space Resource Innovation Center, and the number of space companies has been multiplied by more than 3, actually, within 5 years. So what I could say is that Luxembourg has a booming and attractive space ecosystem. But again, I think Taiwan has also its own advantage and could also become booming and attractive space ecosystem. And of course, this is what I would like to see happening. So thank you, everybody. And if you have any question, I'm very happy to answer.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. A very interesting talk. And then I'm sure that after a couple of beers, we have more to ask you. Any question from the audience for now? Let me see. I want to. My question. What's your question? Can you just ask? Yeah, you could just turn on your mic and ask Jordan. I thought there was a question there. Well, when you're preparing, let me ask you this, Jordan.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about this New Space Europe?
Yes.
You have this new organization called New Space Europe, and what does that consist of?
The New Space Europe event?
Yes.
Well, it's usually a one-day event. This is mostly European attending, but it's open to everybody. And you will have people coming from the industry, but not only, you will also have investors coming, and new startups will also come to pitch. So you have the people from the government who actually want to show, not only in Luxembourg, but from Europe, who will present new European opportunities for new space companies, for new space, not only companies, but also research. You will have investors who will be there. investor will focus more on investing in new space company. And you will also have startups who will come to pitch. Actually, at the last New Space Europe, the Taiwanese company Tensor Tech was here and was pitching.
So new space doesn't mean certain kind of technology, right? Just anything. I mean,
well, new space actually is the term new space. It means to make things better, faster, cheaper. In a way, it's the philosophy of new space is to make things quick, and if it failed, to try again. And this is the philosophy that we are having, and a philosophy that many companies now have, like SpaceX, with their rockets, for example.
And you said that there are many space companies in Luxembourg, and how big are they? I mean, let's say your company, your auditors, is a big company in Luxembourg or a small company, or just the average size?
Well, we are still a small company. In Luxembourg, we are around 10 people. We are recruiting more, and you have companies of different size. So you have companies of just a few people to companies of several hundreds of people who generate a billion of euros per year. So it's a very wide range. But what's interesting here is that even as a small company, you can still get your way, to talk to the right people and to get support. You will still be heard, even if you're a small company, and that's I found it good here.
And I can see Professor Xiangguang Zhang,
Yes.
You have questions to Jordan?
Yes, I do. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah. So thank you for the talk. I'm Xiangguang in Tsinghua University, Hsinchu. You remember me?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice introduction to Luxembourg. And I do have a question because besides having a space agency there, LSA, and also SRIG, what is so special in Luxembourg that many companies go there, or many companies form there? I mean, it's a small country. From the population, it looks like a city. And what's the difference between it and other cities, for example, in Europe, in Germany, in France? What's special?
Yeah, I think to be
be honest. Be honest.
Yeah. I will be honest. It's not a secret. Just one thing, a bit of context. So as you may know, Luxembourg used to be a big financial hub in Europe. The thing is, now the finance industry in Luxembourg, it's still big, okay, but I will say it's more stable. So what Luxembourg government was thinking, and that's quite new. It's like 2016. They were thinking we should do something else. We should diversify. And they were thinking, what can we diversify in? What can be a cutting edge industry? And because we already had SES, which is a major space company worldwide, for space communication. They had it here in Luxembourg, and they had some companies of space. So they were thinking, okay, why not space? Because we already have something. We have something which is working. We could, invest in this industry. And and what happened is, after LSA, actually, even before LSA was created, but around that time, through the Lux Impulse program, Luxembourg dedicated a quite fair amount of money, especially regarding the population, to support space company to arrive, you know. Like for us, we won this award. And basically what happened is we arrive and we get 600K euros to develop our product here. And I don't know any other place in the world where we could get, you know, even before arriving, this amount of money, equity free, with the only condition that, you know, we have to develop in Luxembourg, without even the need of co-funding on our side, you know. So I think what attracts a lot of company, to be fair, it's of course the funding opportunity that Luxembourg offer. But then that's the first layer. But I think the other layer, which is very interesting, is that because companies are attracted here, more companies, which means more partnership opportunities, more business opportunities, you know, it's just easier for us to discuss. Like now I know if I want, there are some system, I know if I want, I just go, you know, next door or upstairs, or I go to talk to other people here. It's just very easy. So first is funding, and second, it's really the ecosystem which is being built here, which attract more and more people. And third, the fact that Luxembourg is in Europe, it opens not only opportunities here, but also more at the European level.
Great. Other questions from the audience? If not, let me ask you another question, because I see that you emphasize the fact that you're providing solutions, right? You win contracts because you say you can provide solutions. And one of the things that you're doing is laser communication.
Yes.
And we know that you are not expert on, am I right? You know, if I am not right, please correct me. You're not expert on laser communication, but your company, you know, bid for it. I'm supposed to. Suppose you say I'm going to do it for you, and how are you going to do it? Once you have won the contract, how are you going to find a solution?
Well, we are expert in laser communication. Not myself.
Sorry.
That's true. No, you are right. You are right. You are right to say I am not. I myself, I am not expert in laser communication, but we have a team now that we are expert in laser communication. Maybe to give you a little bit of history, how this happened. At first, when I was myself also still in Taiwan, you know, in the early years, we were working with Paris Observatory, and we found that they were using a scientific payload on one of their satellites to detect exoplanets. And we wanted to use this payload to adapt it to do the pointing and tracking system of a laser communication terminal, because pointing and tracking is a big challenge in laser communication. So that's how we started, by, you know, getting actually this IT from Paris Observatory and adapting it to a laser communication solution. And this is what was special, you know, about our technology. And this is how also we arrive at first in Luxembourg. Then when we push more in the development, we actually found alternative that we develop ourselves, which were better than, you know, what we have identified from Paris Observatory. So right now we are actually developing our own design of terminals. So now what we are developing is a space terminal for satellite, for space to ground communication. And we are also developing an optical ground station. And for that part, for the optical ground station, we are going to deploy a network, a worldwide network of optical ground station. The first one will be operating is next year. And we will have more ground station every year. This we are actually working with our partner from Italy, LiveSpace, because we already have RF ground station network. We're already operating, ground station, and we are going to bring optical ground station capabilities at some of their sites and also some of their future sites. So for us, what we're going to sell to the customer is the space terminal and also the communication opportunity, the link. We also have plans to develop inter-satellite link terminals.
Yes. Okay, what you said are all very interesting to us because, John, just to let you know that we are also thinking about, trying to put us on a fast track for CubeSat, technology. So the laser communication is also something that we are very interested in. So the question is how can Taiwan get into the game? So anything that we can somehow squeeze our way in.
In laser communication, you mean?
Right. Yeah.
Well, it depends if you are talking as a university or as a company. I think it's two different approach, and also if you are talking about focusing on maybe miniaturization of some component or addressing the key point of pointing and tracking. The thing is, what I will suggest. So my colleague Julian, I think, is online and is in charge of our office in Taiwan. So right now we are also looking to potentially, to procure some of the part for laser communication terminals in Taiwan. So that's also something we could look at. That's this. And also we could also look at what's next in laser communication. What's next in laser communication? Then you can have application in, for example, quantum, quantum technology. But however, for this, the market is definitely for quantum. The market is not mature yet, definitely. And for laser, if you have some ideas in mind, we can definitely discuss more. You can talk to me or you can talk to my colleague Julian, because this is something we are actually looking at right now in Taiwan. We would like to improve the collaboration between our two offices, Luxembourg and Taiwan, especially on lasercom.
Right, certainly. So I think I will contact you and contact Julian later, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So other questions? I think that there was Gerhard. Is that Gerhard or Angular?
Gerald.
He was raising.
Yeah, he asked me what kind of clarification looking for a candidate in a company. Well, that there is no simple answer to that. That really depends in which job position we have. If you like to actually apply, I will put here the address to which you can send a resume, because we are always taking, open application, but also we are going to open more position very soon. So please, if you like to show us your resume and what is your interest, what you can do, just send an email to the address I put in the chat.
Well, if you like, I could give it 2 minutes here that you could do an interview right away. Okay, I think it's you keep on talking about space resources. That has nothing to do with the asteroid mining or lunar mining, right?
Well, there is, but I must say there have been a little bit of a shift in the last few years.
Yes.
Because at first in Luxembourg, indeed, the asteroid mining was the big, the big idea, the big thing. now, more recently, there have been a shift to the moon. So yes, people still talk about asteroid mining, but what seems to be, more concrete and more shorter term will be moon. So mission to the moon, business on the moon, space resource from the moon. So to give you just a couple of examples, you have the iSpace, which is a Japanese company who also is in Luxembourg now. They are going to send a rover to the moon. Actually, they are going to send rovers to the moon. You can even jump on the rover and be part of the payload, and they are going to look for water on the moon. You have this other company, Mana Electric. They are going to use moon regolite to produce on-site panels. So that's something they are doing in the desert right now, to produce solar panels in the desert with sand, and they want to apply this in on the moon. So there's still a lot of companies looking at space resource, but now it's shifted to the moon instead of asteroid. So I see a question. Do you need to have a Luxembourg local resident partners to set up your company in Luxembourg? The answer is no, you do not need that. You do not need that. You do not even need to be European. Everything is possible. Again, more than 50% of the people living in Luxembourg are not Luxembourgese. So this is not a problem. Of course, if you are not from EU, there is the process is a little bit longer, but it's definitely possible. And I know many people who are not from EU who set up their company here without problem. And even ourselves in our team, we have, I would say, half of the team is not even EU, members, so it's not a problem.
Yeah, in Luxembourg, all you need is just money, right?
Isn't it like this everywhere? In Taiwan as well, huh?
But I mean, Taiwan, we have lots of rich people. We just have to tell them how to invest, right? To go into this direction.
Can you introduce me? Can you introduce me to these people?
We are working on it. Okay, Jordan. I think it's almost time now. If no other question, anyone has any questions, and please, it's a very good opportunity. If not, and I will let Jordan go, and I'm sure that we will get him back. We have more questions, and all the people who want to have a partnership with Odysseus, and then please contact him. We have his email address, and or you can write to me.
I'm going to. I just put my email address in the chat.
Yeah. Right.
If someone need to reach me out, yeah.
And he's famous. You just say type Jordan, you will see his name. Okay, great, Jordan. See you next time. Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for the invitation.
We will put your video, the recorded video on the web, so everybody could go back and look, and read and watch. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of information. Yeah.
Well, good to see you. It was a pleasure to introduce, what we do, and also Luxembourg.
Yeah.
And I hope, to come back to Taiwan very soon.
Yes.
To see you in person.
Yeah. Let's know. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Bye bye.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a nice evening.